Okay, hey guys, this is Vera. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this, but I thought I'd start out with something basic. So I'm going to start out by showing you just how to make a basic icon, but it's going to be an animated icon because I know that a lot of the people from Sirens have been asking how to do this. So obviously we need to start out with our image size, which is going to be 100 wide and 80 high. So width 100, height 80. With your advanced options, you just want to make sure that your background color is going to be set to transparent. Just makes it easier to edit. Now I like to resize mine to about 400%, sometimes even 800%, just to make sure that the details are clear enough for me. So on my first layer, my background layer, I'm going to choose my colour. For this one I'm going to use red, one of my favourite colours, I like to use it a lot. So we're going to fill the background and go to a layer, create another new layer, and let's just give it something simple. So I'm going to use my airbrush tool with the biggest blurred circle brush that I have, so the fuzzy circles. Set it to about 3.5, keep it white, and just put a dot in the middle. I like to blur these out, so I use the Gaussian blur tool, and I'm going to go for about 40 just to give it an element of shine, but nothing too sort of bold. With that, I think I'm gonna not overlay it, grain merge it. Again, it just sort of dulls down the colour a bit, stops it looking so bold. Now I prefer to use the Shift, Control and N to create a new layer. I'm going to do my border on this layer. For my border I'm going to use black. Again, red and black go well together, very bold, will stand out nicely. I'm going to select the entire area and then shrink it down by 5 pixels from the image border, which will leave you with something like this, and then cut it out. So you've still got your background there with your border over the top. With this layer, I'm going to select a darker red, and then unselecting the area, I'm going to use filters, the distorts, and erase every other row. When that comes up, I'm going to change the erase to fill with background colour. Okay? When you do that, you need to make sure that these colours are the right way around. So that is your background colour. So again, filters, distorts, erase every other row, but we're going to change it to fill with background. And that just adds the little effect to give it some sort of more interesting texture. I'm going to merge this layer down so that I'm working on a more simple basis. And I'm going to add some shine to my border. So for this, I'm going to use the small circle brush. Make sure that it's white. And I'm just going to do a small line, pressing the shift to make sure that the line's straight. Take it from there to there. And again, across the bottom, just simple little line. I'm going to use my blur tool. It's set to 50, which is fine. And with that, just again making sure that the line is straight by pressing shift and blurring that line outwards. And I do that at both ends just to give it that semblance of the actually shiny surface rather than just a straight line. And do that on both sides so that you have something fairly even. And I'm actually going to duplicate that layer and then transform the top one, rotating it by 180. That will give me the same thing twice. And then merge that down, and because it's white on black, it's come out very bright, so I'm just going to lower the opacity to about 50. Keeps it bright but not too bright. So you've got your border, you've got your background, and for this one, making a text layer, despite the fact that it's not necessary, I just prefer to do it on a new layer. Now, the product that I've got my shots for is by Sepitus. So I'm going to put his name. I've used the Speedline font, which is one of the ones that I like to use. I think it looks quite good. I'm going to move it over so that I can make sure it's at the edge of the box. And I'm going to move it upwards and have it in the top corner. And I'm going to change this so that it's a duplicated layer and invert the colour. With the colour being inverted, then I can blur it. I'm going to do a Gaussian blur of 2 pixels, and I'm going to duplicate that so that it's bolder. And then I'm going to duplicate the black as well, merge it all together, and then merge that down to the text layer. Now here, I'm going to be opening up the images that I have for the shots that I'm going to use for the icons. You're obviously going to want to shrink these down. Now I'm going to be opening as layers, and then I'll be using these 3 shots. Now 2 of these I've already sharpened, but the 3rd one I didn't, just so that you can see how that's done. So you do have this here, but if you use filters, enhance and sharpen, an image that you shrunk down is going to lose a lot of quality. So when you sharpen it up, it gives that quality back. Now with an animated icon, obviously you're going to want different images. So what I've chosen to do is to have a shot from one side, then a shot from the middle, then a shot from the other side. Now for all of these, you're going to need to duplicate your background. So you should have a background behind each model image. I'm going to merge my text and my border down together, and then I'm going to duplicate this as well so that we've got 3 versions of that. And then again, you should have a border with each background and model. Merging them together, you merge down the border onto the first model image and then merge that down onto its background. Again with the second, merge the border down onto the background, and the third, merging the border down and then onto the background. Now this has given a fairly simple icon image anyway. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to save it as a GIF file. I'm going to save it onto my desktop, and I'm going to save it as sep.gif and then press save. When you do this, it'll ask you for settings. You want to save as animation. Make sure that you click this one, otherwise it's just going to merge into one image. Everything else is fine, so you'd click export. Again, with this you can change it to anything you like, so created by Vera. I tend to change this to about 400. Obviously if you do 100 it's going to be faster, if you do 500 it's going to be slower. It's milliseconds is 400 would be 4 seconds, 100 1 second, so on and so forth. With this you can use I don't care on any kind of animated icon or image that has a full background, but if you have any transparent background or any transparent area, you need to use the 1 frame per layer. Now as I say, for this it doesn't really matter, so I'm just going to go with I don't care. Make sure that loop forever is ticked. Apart from that, you're saved and then it's done. So what we can do now is we can find that in our desktop, open that image up, and here you should have your icon. So that's how you make an animated